Hey everybody, Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. And let's just assume that you have no resources to make miniatures hardly at all. You have no workspace. You have nothing. You want a bunch of miniatures. You can't get them. The whole world's against you. And we know it's very easy to get miniatures these days, but not for everybody. And there's also financial constraints. So let's talk about that for a moment. How do you go from having no miniatures to having tons of miniatures quickly and cheaply? Well, I've had videos on how to get minis cheap, and I've shown you how to make minis at home. I'm going to show you the cheapest, easiest, quickest way to make miniatures, and it's going to blow your mind. So all you need is some cardstock, something that's 1 inch in diameter, like a base. If you don't have one, a quarter's close. You can buy poker chips at there, or little bingo chips or something at the Dollar Tree. Anything will work as a base. So let's start by making a rough cut circle to be our base. And let's start looking at the base. It's not very sturdy, but it'll work. You can use a penny, anything, a washer, whatever you have to make your base. A little weird spot there. It's pretty round, okay? Now, I want my miniature to be decent. You know, I want it to look like a person. So I'm going to get a miniature. I'm going to say, okay, a miniature is about that tall. I'm going to make a dot for the head, a dot for the body to about where the body ends, some legs, and some arms, just with hot glue. That's all I'm doing there, okay? Now there's some spider webs. I'm going to cook those up, then I'm going to cool this down. Okay, once that's cooled down, I'm going to pluck this off of here carefully, trying not to break it. I just ripped his arm off. That's okay, we can reattach that easily enough. Okay, or we're just going to make him a new arm. So I'm going to set him back down, pull that arm out as long as it needs to be, and let that cool for a minute, and then we'll re-get his arm. Okay. Now let's see if we can get that off there. It looks like we can get it off there, and it's going to work out nice. So we have a little bit of a weird bit of spider web there. So look at that. We got a little guy, and we can leave him like that, or you can get paper or anything you have and add accessories. You could add hair with a little bit of like fabric, really. Like, let's see if I have any fabric laying around. I know I have t-shirts and stuff here, so let me grab a piece of t-shirt. I'm gonna get a little teeny swath of t-shirt, just the tiniest part. And I'm gonna cut a little bit. And then just with hot glue, I'm gonna modify my miniature by putting a dab of glue here and attaching this to the head to be hair. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to tell a story. It doesn't have to do anything. Now that miniature has hair. Okay? I want a weapon for my miniature. You can use a toothpick, a piece of wire, whatever you have. Anything. Doesn't have to be extreme or extraordinary. We are making the cheapest, easiest miniatures on earth. Where are my snippers? I've lost my snippers. I put my snippers somewhere. Oh, they're in my pocket. My garage door opener had bad damage. So I want a quick and easy spear for my guy. I'm going to first get a dab of glue to be his feet. I'm going to put him on the base, it's roughly centered. I'm going to add a little bit more to the structure of his foot to make him stand up better. Then I'm going to get his hand. I'm going to put a dab of glue right where his hand is. Just like that. I'm going to shove my spear into his hand and put it touching his foot. Oops, having trouble getting it on there. It's stuck to my finger. Okay. Get a little dab of glue there. Okay. To hold that to his leg. Nothing too fancy. And then I'm going to snip off that little bit of extra glue here that looks bad. Now he's not super sturdy at this point. You can make him thicker as needed, but you have a miniature here. Let's get a tiny dab of cardboard. Let me scrape this little bit of glue off there. Tiny dab of glue, just the tiniest. I'm going to set him here, okay? And then you can reinforce him with super glue if you want to make him a little sturdier, okay? Okay, something like that. Now you're going to have to let him air dry. You don't want to do hot air gun drying on this guy. Air drying is your secret here. If you want the base to have a little more sturdiness, you could easily get some baking soda, or you can sturdy him up with baking soda too, actually. But to sturdy this base up, you just want to carefully get a little bit of glue on here around in kind of a rough earth shape, just like that. Nothing spectacular. A little bit of baking soda like I always use for my dirt on my bases. And we can sturdy him up by sprinkling some baking soda around on that glue if we want to. You don't have to, but you can. Okay. So here we go. Literally pennies. And we have our cool little man. Okay. Now, let's spray paint him up and paint him quickly. I'm going to use flat black primer. Like that. And again, you don't want to use hot air guns, hair dryers. I call them hot air guns as a joke. You don't want to use hot air guns to do your cooling and drying. You want it to happen organically and naturally, or you're going to have a world of hurt. So easily enough, we have a person with some hair and some structure, and it costs us nothing to make. Let's see how easy it is to paint this person. I assume his pants are blue, because I want them to be. So I'm just going to get a brush. I'm going to make his pants kind of blue. And I'm not doing a phenomenal job painting him, because a lot of detail is not going to help when there's no detail to pronounce. Okay, so we have glue, or blue. Let's get his shirt. Shirt's going to be brown. This is a little watered down. That's okay. It'll be okay. Trust me, it'll work just fine. Get a little bit of watered down brown here on his shirt. Just like that. And you can play with your guys on your knife or your metal that you're using and get some different ideas for how you want them to look and for postures. If it's male or female, maybe you could put a little couple dots there to indicate that he's got some chest. You know, whatever you want to do here. I'm looking for a tan. Here is Sunkissed Peach. Using minimal colors, since you're trying to do this on a budget, is probably going to be your friend. Because if you're making a bunch of these, you're trying not to spend a bunch of money. Okay. And we'll do his hair. Somebody's out there doing some driving stuff. Let me shake this up. Get a little bit of paint in there. We'll do his hair with a little bit of blonde. And I'm not doing a perfect job because this is a piece of glue. Okay, just like that. Let's get a little more brown. I'm just going to leave that yellow in my brush. I'm going to get a little bit of brown. I'm going to do his spear. I'm not putting a whole lot of effort into that. Okay. I'm going to get a little bit of, I'm going to use some of that brown on his ground too, actually. There we go. Let's brown up the ground. Look at that. I didn't dry my baking soda all the way. I didn't soak it all the way, I should say. And it's coming apart. And that's okay. Okay. Well, that looks like it'll do what I need. Wash my brush again. A little metallic. Tip of the spear. A little bit of black. Around that base to show where the world ends and fantasy begins, as miniatures are really just theater. All they are is providing some visual cues to your TTRPG. That's all they're doing. Okay. And you can make a lot of these at once very quickly. You could really get as creative as you wanted and use as many colors as you wanted. For me, it was important that we didn't use a bunch of colors. But I am going to get a little bit of green here. And it's just with a wet brush, I'm grabbing a tiny bit of green. I'm going to dab around and add some more color to the base. And I'm done. Again, you don't want to use a hot air gun to dry this. You want to use natural time because you don't want to keep reheating hot glue. Probably don't need to coat this with a clear coat, but you could. Just try it and see how it looks. It's not completely dry, so I know that's going to be a mistake, but I'll try it anyways. And then I'm going to get a knife and slice them off of here. Straighten his base out. There's a little bit of cardboard under here, or a little bit of glue under here still. I'm just going to peel that off, just like that. So he says flat. And for pennies, I can create many of these and put them in many postures and give them different looks. I could create my monsters this way. Anything you really wanted to do, and it's nothing. So anyways, hey, 15-minute miniature. You could do it faster, I promise. Make a few of them, you'd be like, oh my god. So if I'd have known this many years ago before I realized I was trying to figure out a way to make shades or shadows or creatures like that, and this happened. So please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, leave a comment. Check out the website, www.dungeon-swag.com, and the Discord. Those are linked in the description. There's also a discount code to get 25% off your first month of our miniature service. Our miniatures are beautiful, sturdy, amazing, high detail. check them out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.